Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Final Points new NFL show, 5 on the Line, where we talk about the 5 biggest stories in the NFL this past weekend. With me, I have Brian Coyle and Andrew Park, our NFL experts. Now, Andrew, let's talk about the New York Giants running back situation. Anyone who saw Sunday Night Football's game was just unable to process what Tom Coughlin was doing. Andrew, what do the Giants have to do?
You know what? They really need to just dig deep and see what they really want because David Wilson, who fumbled the ball twice, I think he's effectively landed himself in Tom Coughlin's doghouse for probably the rest of the season. So, if anything, you know, we really don't know because Andre Brown is out with a broken leg, and then there's Darrell Scott who couldn't handle the screen pass at the end of the game that iced the game, the Brent Carr pick six. So really, they have to look. I mean, they can look on the market to see if there's an old veteran running back available. I hear Tiki Barber's still on the market, but as of right now, I don't even know what's going to happen.
Right. And so that's what the Giants situation. Now, Brian, if anyone saw the San Francisco 49ers game, they would have seen the botch up between the referees that caused the 49ers to gain an extra play that they eventually turned into a touchdown. What is happening with the officials?
Well, the whole thing was Bill Levy, the head referee at the time, when Clay Matthews absolutely annihilated Colin Kaepernick out of bounds. There was offsetting personal fouls issued, one to Matthews for the hit on Kaepernick, one to Joe Staley, who retaliated, causing a fight on the sideline. What should have happened was, since they were both dead ball personal fouls, the play should have counted. It would have been 4th and 2, and the 49ers predictably would have kicked the field goal. However, they offset and started a new play, so they replayed the down, leading to an Anquan Boldin touchdown. Now, the 49ers were the better team and probably would have won the game anyway, but still, it's a major mishap on the referee's part. So he's been downgraded, meaning that those big game assignments that he's usually gotten probably isn't going to happen for a while now.
All right. But talking about guys who have been stepping up to fulfill their jobs, we saw 3 new quarterbacks fulfill an opening day starter role in E.J. Manuel of the Buffalo Bills, Geno Smith of the New York Jets, and Terrell Pryor of the Oakland Raiders. I'll throw it back to you, Andrew. Which one of these guys impressed you the most?
I really like Terrell Pryor. I mean, I loved watching him at Ohio State during his time, and he had that whole thing where he had to just leave due to the whole scandal at Ohio State, and he went to the Raiders in the supplemental draft, and people weren't sure whether or not Pryor was the QB for the Raiders or just the QB at all. A lot of them were calling for, a lot of analysts and experts were calling for Pryor to make the switch to wide receiver or just to find his niche. And a lot of people were saying, this is just like Tebow. He's not really a quarterback. He's not anything else, but he's just athletic. What's going to happen to him? And what he really did is, he showed a lot of the haters. I mean, it's just one game, but he really stepped it up and he showed off his skills. Yes, he made a couple of mistakes with those 2 picks, but to be able to not only pass for more than 150 yards, but he also ran for 100 yards, showing off that dual threat that he posed during his college years, I think is a huge sign for I think his uprising, and I think that there's a lot more to like from Terrell Pryor.
Right. The Raiders might have some hope by the Bay Area. And now, Brian Coyle, your division, the AFC East, saw 2 rookie starters in Geno Smith and E.J. Manuel. What can you tell us about how they fared?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, E.J. Manuel did play better than Geno Smith, even though Smith, granted, the first half, the Jets looked pitiful on offense, to put it bluntly. But in the second half, Geno Smith looked much better. He looked a little bit more confident. And all it takes in this league is a little bit of confidence to make you overplay or play better than you actually are. So you got to hold off on the Geno Smith predictions for now because it was Tampa Bay. However, E.J. Manuel of the Buffalo Bills really impressed me because he didn't look threatened. He didn't seem like the spotlight was too much for him. Yes, they did end up losing to New England because Tom Brady got the ball last and they went down the field. But E.J. Manuel looked very promising, and Bills fans should be really excited about what they have.
All right. And so, Brian, can you tell us anything about what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going through?
I mean, I think it would be better that you, the Steeler fan, would tell us all about the pitiful performance by the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday.
I mean, if you're going to throw it at me, I mean, the fact is the Steelers were losing 16-2 to a team that had the worst offense in points per game last season. And it just does not look good for the future either, with losing our starting Pro Bowls All-Pro center Marcus Pouncey to a season-ending injury by tearing his ACL and MCL. We also lost starting linebacker Larry Foote to a torn bicep surgery, and we've also lost return specialist and third down back Rod Stevens-Howling to an apparent season-ending injury. And so right now, the Steelers are losing 3 guys who are supposed to be key contributors. Now, they have re-signed Jonathan Dwyer off the free agent market after cutting him in the offseason. And after Isaac Redman fumbled twice in 9 carries, it doesn't look like it's going to be a good season for the Steelers, especially with their Week 2 matchup coming up against the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday Night Football. And so those are 5. Oh, before we get to that, we have to talk about Monday Night Football tonight. We got our classic doubleheader with the Houston Texans taking on the San Diego Chargers, and Michael Vick and the Eagles taking on RG3 and the Redskins. Brian, what can you tell us about RG3 and the Eagles?
I personally believe I have the more interesting game of the Monday night slate. The Eagles and Redskins, the classic NFC East battle. You have 2 very athletic, mobile quarterbacks in Griffin and Vick. And I think we're going to see something surprising out of the Eagles tonight. I think they might push Washington for a win tonight in Washington because I like what they're doing in Philadelphia. I like the way that the high-speed offense is more fit to Shady McCoy and Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson. Now, besides that, they don't have much, but expect the Eagles to put up a bigger fight than you would think in Washington tonight.
Right. Especially since Chip Kelly's offenses in Oregon were mostly centered around the run, and you have 2 great runners in Michael Vick and LaShawn McCoy. Now, Andrew, you have what other experts might call the more quote-unquote boring game between the Chargers and the Texans. But what do you personally think about this matchup?
I think it's going to be a blowout. The Chargers right now don't have any answers. They're missing their top wideout in Dario Alexander. They're missing just a lot of key pieces. We don't know if Ryan Matthews is going to come back and regain the form that he had in his rookie year. Can he stay healthy? Can he hold on to the ball? Is Phillip Rivers still an elite quarterback? And all the while, they had so many problems on their offensive line. Over the offseason, they lost their best offensive lineman, Pro Bowler Luis Vasquez, guard, to the division rivals in Denver. And so what this is going to be is this is just going to be a sack fest. I think J.J. Watt is going to have his way with the terrible San Diego Chargers offensive line. I don't think that DJ Fluker of Alabama is the answer to, the reigning defensive player of the year. So, really expect Phillip Rivers to eat a lot of grass. And in terms of Houston, we're going to see if Arian Foster is going to get a lot of touches because he hasn't played all preseason. So that's going to be really interesting to see whether him or backup Ben Tate gets the majority of the carries, and whether or not Andre Johnson still has enough in the tank to be called an elite wide receiver. But other than that, I think the Houston Texans are going to control this from opening kickoff, and I don't think the Chargers are going to really do much about it.
Right, and it's fitting that in a game against the Chargers, we might see 1.2 gigawatts, if anyone's old enough to get that reference. But let's talk about a new segment
awful.
on this.
That was terrible. Continue.
Let's talk about a new segment here, our last segment called False Starts, where we talk about possibly the worst play we personally saw this weekend. So, Andrew, let's finish off with you. What was your false start?
Oh my gosh. As people know who follow the blog and YouTube, I'm a diehard Broncos fan. And of course, it happens on Thursday Night Football on opening kickoff for the entire league. Broncos linebacker Danny Trevathan, he's the one filling in for our Pro Bowler, our All-Pro Von Miller, who's serving his 6-game suspension. And of course, he goes in, he intercepts the ball from Joe Flacco at the 30-yard line and takes it in for what seems to be quite possibly the easiest pick 6. And he pulls it to Deshaun Jackson, and in celebration, he lets go of the football before crossing the plane. And Brandon Stokely and Wesley Woodyard, they try to fight for the ball, and the ball ends up bouncing out of bounds and becomes the Ravens' ball and a touchback. And actually, on that possession, the Ravens score a touchdown. They kind of made a mini comeback. So for a while, I think, actually still right now, I think, me included, right now the Bronco faithful are calling for Danny Trevathan's head on the chopping block.
See, I can top that because, as many of you know, watching the Jets Tampa Bay end of the game, The Buccaneers were able to lead down the field. Right at the end, Ryan Lindell kicked the field goal, but Geno Smith had the Jets around the 40, 45-yard line, and Smith was running out of time, didn't see anything downfield, ran out of bounds. Buccaneers linebacker Levante David decided, let me hit the quarterback out of bounds, giving them a 15-yard penalty, leading to a Nick Folk game-winning field goal. It's like the Buccaneers out-Jets the Jets. That's the worst thing we've seen all weekend.
I never thought someone would outjet the Jets. But for my false start in the last part of our video today, the Titans had Darius Raynaud be their kickoff returner against the Steelers, and he accepted the kickoff at the 1-foot-yard line, took it back into the end zone, and took a safety by taking knee in the end zone for the fastest scoring play in NFL history by putting up 2 points in 3 seconds. And with that, that's the end of our first segment of 5 on the Line for NFL Week 1. If you like what you saw, be sure to click here to subscribe. Click somewhere around here to like. In the description, you will see links to our new TFP 3.0 website at www.thefinalpoints.com. Follow us on Twitter at TheFinalPoints. You saw all of our handles over here. And until next time, stay tuned.